It's an amazing hadith. This hadith is used as the roadmap for the urafa. Because this is advice, this is not advice from average people. This is the advice of Ja'far al-Sadiq salawatullahi alayhi. So who is Unwan al-Basri? Unwan al-Basri, according to the tradition, he was an old man, 94 years old. He was in Medina and he was a student of Malik ibn Anas. You know Imam Malik, Malikis, that school of fiqh. He comes to the Imam and he says that I want to study under you. The Imam alayhi salam, he says, Ana rajulun matloob. I have a lot of people who demand my attention. Go back to Malik. The Imam, he says, go study with him. I'm busy. The Imam sensed that this man was trying to put the knowledge of others at the same level as the knowledge of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, go back to him. You enjoy that? Go. If you enjoy the tap water, drink. If you want the sweet water, come to Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So he says, I felt distraught. He says that if Ja'far al-Sadiq saw any goodness in me, why did he turn me away? He has 4,000 people under his member. Why doesn't he accept me? So he says, I went to the masjid of Rasulullah and I prayed 2 rak'ah and I asked Allah, turn the heart of Ja'far al-Sadiq to me, so he'll accept me as his student. He says, I stayed in my home. I quit the classes of Imam Malik ibn Anas. I stopped going. I would only leave my house for the obligatory prayers. Until one day I mustered up the courage. I swallowed my pride and I went to the house of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. I knocked on the door. The servant answered. I asked if I could speak to the Imam. The servant says that he's engaged in his prayers. Let me ask him. The Imam grants him permission. It's a lengthy hadith, but I just want to mention this. He sits beside the Imam, and the Imam gives him 9 pieces of advice. One of them is the following. He says to him, فَإِيَّاكَ أَن تَأْكُلَ مَا لَا تَشْتَهِي. The Imam says, beware of eating when you don't crave it. He says, وَلَا تَأْكُلْ إِلَّا عِنْدَ الْجُوعِ. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, do not eat unless you're hungry. Because the worst vessel that has been filled by the human being is his stomach. Don't eat more than is necessary. You're not going to become like Ayatollah Qadhi if you're having 10 pounds of biryani every night. Don't eat unless it's necessary. We're not talking about haram. Haram food is poison for the soul. Spirituality, we're going above the muharramat and the wajibat. We're taking it a step further. Because if you're not doing your wajibat and you're committing sin, you're still in elementary school. Spiritually, you're a toddler. We're talking about having discipline. Not eating more than necessary. Because even if you're eating halal, now haram, let me just share with you a hadith. If there's someone that hasn't developed the habit of only consuming lawful food, and food doesn't only mean, the hamburger and the chicken. It also means what's your source of income? What's your source of income? People ask, Sheikh, I read Dua Kumail and I don't feel anything. Habibi, 90% of your income is from haram. Of course you're not going to cry during Dua Kumail. When it comes to haram, Imam Zainul Abidin, salawatullahi alayhi, he says, luqmatu haram. You know what luqma means? A morsel. Not a dish. A morsel of haram. تمنع استجابة الدعاء وقبول الصلاة 40 صباحا. If you consume haram, your dua is blocked for 40 days. And your salah is not maqbool, meaning Allah is not pleased with it. You still have to pray, but Allah is not pleased with it. There's a disconnection now between you and your Lord. What happens to you if your phone dies? What happens to you when your phone runs out of battery? You feel uncomfortable. You feel uneasy when you're not able to communicate with makhluk. What will happen to you when the connection with your Lord is severed for 40 days? If I take away your phone for 40 days, you'll be in the hospital. تمنع استجابة الدعاء وقبول الصلاة 40 صباح. This is haram food. Even if you're eating halal, don't overeat. Rasulullah never overate. Amirul Mu'mineen, they would never fill their stomachs because they ate to live. They didn't live to eat. There are some people, you sit with them, you have breakfast. So Sheikh, what are we going to do for lunch? Habibi, we just ate. Very food-centric mentality. Always thinking about food. Our bodies need food. Eat, be healthy, but don't overdo it. Don't eat more than what is necessary, because even if you consume halal food more than it is necessary, it will have a negative impact on your spirituality. The nourishment for your physical body is food. But insan is not just a body. You know, as the saying goes, you don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body. Start treating the body like it's just a vehicle. It's a temporary thing. It's a rental. Put the gas in it, let it run, but don't get attached to it. Because the essence is what? Spiritual, not bodily. So give the body enough to function. Because the soul also needs nourishment. The nourishment for the soul is fasting, for example. Fast. Fasting may be difficult, right? Because in the month of Ramadan, you hear people complaining, right? Right? You hear more inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un than a funeral, right? It's difficult for people to fast. If you're not able to fast, then at least reduce the amount of food that you eat. You know, brothers and sisters, Allama Tabatabai, the author of Tafsir al-Mizan, do you know what he used to do? He had a habit that whenever he would eat, he would put food on his plate, and he would not eat more than the food that's on his plate. He doesn't get seconds or thirds. Whatever is on the plate, he eats enough to be healthy, to survive. He doesn't eat beyond that. Are you familiar with the story of Musa and Khidr? Musa went to get knowledge from Khidr. There is a subtlety in that story that many of us miss. He brings fish with him. He's with Yusha bin Nun. They're traveling, right? And look, Musa is one of the prophets of Ulul Azm. You would think that Khidr should come to him. Allah says, no. Talibul ilm is humble. You go to Khidr. Travel. They lose their fish. It jumps into the sea. So when he meets Khidr, is he full or is he hungry? Musa is hungry. The quest for knowledge begins with an empty stomach. When they part ways, they erect the wall. Musa alayhi salam, all of his other protests were related to other people. Why are you sinking? The people are going to sink if you put a hole in the ship. Why did you kill this innocent soul? The third protest, why did you get some money from them so we can eat? The moment Musa was concerned with his stomach, Khidr says, you're on your own now. The story begins with hunger And it ends with